This is Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline. I couldn't wait to read this book. It came out in November and it's now almost February. I just couldn't wait to read this one. 366 pages and 30 chapters. So I struggled with this in the opening because there was a lot of background information and, I had read the first book, Ready Player One, probably 3 times, so I knew all the background information, like all the scene building and all that stuff to get to where you needed to be was needed, for somebody who just started with this book. But I was kind of torn when I read through this. I've only read through this book once, but when I read through it, the contest per se doesn't start until chapter 9 or 10. So I was almost like, why not just skip right to chapter 9 and 10 and like go into the contest? So I struggled with that, and I've been thinking more about it, and I really think the background is important, that you need to realize like how we got to that point, and setting the scene is important. So the build up to the contest, I believe he did the right thing in putting it in there. It just like, that was something I thought about while I was reading. I was like, should that be in there? Wade Watts is no longer the underdog, right? He won the contest in the first book, so he has a ton of money. So kind of like a annoying jerk rich guy who, just does whatever he wants. So it was interesting to see him become the underdog again, in that, he had a challenge and another contest that he had to complete in order to save the digital world, that kind of thing. I liked the brain scans, being able to just treat it like a save file. That was a really neat concept. I liked that idea. It is cool. Digital brain scan saves. That sounds like a decent idea. I don't know if it's a really good idea, but it sounds like a cool idea. There were the 7 shards for the contest, which to me was just the right number. It wasn't too many, it wasn't too few. There were 3 keys and 3 gates in the last one, so 6 and 7, it's a good number. I liked the crowdedness of the worlds. When I was reading, it was a little bit overwhelming, and I believe that was the point. So when you go to the Breakfast Club world, John Hughes or whatever, he could have, or in that world, there could be multiple NPC characters of the same person wandering around. So, just like actors and actresses would be in different stages. And it was just like, it was neat to see them so close together, but it also was like hard to keep track of what was going on. So I believe that was intentional, and it didn't take me out of it. It just was a lot to keep track of while reading. So I liked that part. Really liked the Prince planet, or the artist formerly known as Prince. And I liked the Middle Earth planet, and also Halcydonia, I think is how it's called, the learning planet where, students can go and do learning modules, that kind of thing. I really liked all 3 of those planets. They were really cool. The descriptions were great, and there was so much background information. Each one could have been its own book. So with that, I had some quotes that I want to read, that I took notes on while reading. At the very beginning, Wade is the owner of GSS Systems, the company. And so he's running through the halls, and he says, or in his head, he's thinking, "Meet the new boss, weird as the old boss." James Halliday was really weird, and Wade kind of took up the mantle there. So that was fun, and it was a nice little song spoof on a song lyric there. The second one was when talking about social media. We evolved as hunter-gatherers with the mental capacity to interact with members of our tribe, at most a few hundred people. Social media on a global scale is just too much for us to process. I really liked that. It is overwhelming and tough to figure out. So that was spot on in my opinion. Let's see. This one, when talking with a fan, Wade Watts, the fan quoted Bill Murray. When you become famous, you have a year or two where you can act like a jerk. you have maybe 2 years to pull it together, or else it's permanent. So the fan kind of gave Wade a reality check, like, hey, get your stuff together. That was neat. That was a good line. There's another quote from the artist formerly known as Prince. It's cool to use the computer. Don't let the computer use you. There is a war going on. The battlefield there is a war going on. The battlefield is in the mind, and the prize is the soul. So yeah, don't get overwhelmed. Don't get lost in the digital world. It can be addicting. So I liked this book. It didn't fly by as quickly as Ready Player One, but it was still an awesome ride, very cool adventure, and the different worlds that were visited were a lot of fun. I did enjoy every bit of this book. Like I said, I struggled with the first 9 chapters, whether they should be included or not, but I do believe they should be. I wasn't able to buy this book used like most of my books because it just came out. Otherwise, I would have bought it used. So, as always, buy your books used if you can.